Pardon my background. I'm traveling right now, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey as a musician, specifically as an electronic music artist, and how the pipeline went from playing instruments to now. And I hope that it's insightful for you all because there may be some musicians who want to become electronic music artists. And this is just my journey. So you can get there a specific way as much as you want to, and it can be different. But for me, this is what happened. So, first off, it all started way back to when I was 5 years old, literally. And I saw someone playing the cello at an orchestra event that my parents took me to. I thought it was really cool, and it always been in the back of my mind. And where I was from in New York, you start music in the third grade. Some people start in fifth, some people start elsewhere in their age range, but we started in the third grade. And in the second grade, we did recorders. So I like the recorder, it's a little vibe. And come third grade, we have like a placement. So that placement is like, for example, hey, try this instrument. If you can get like air out of it, you're good, like a trumpet or whatever. Now, little backstory about me, I have like chronic asthma, like really bad, to the point where I would get hospitalized for like 2-3 months at a time. And my aunt played the clarinet. So I was like, oh, maybe I should play the clarinet because she plays the clarinet and I want to like be like her, cool or whatever. But I also had really chronic asthma and my school knew that. I was like considered disabled, all that stuff. Anyway, so I went in and I was like, okay, I want to try an instrument. And my teacher was like, what instrument do you want to try? And I was like, clarinet. And she was like, you can try it. I tried to blow out of it, couldn't get a note out. She was like, yeah, I don't think that's for you. Try this. She handed me a cello, and I played it, and she was like, you're natural. You got it. I think she just didn't want me to pass out there. But I ended up playing the cello. I played the cello from third grade all the way into high school, and the cool thing was I had gotten a couple of awards. I played it. It was fun. I learned a lot. I played in like all districts, all county. Went to NISMA, which is like a music award type of thing where you have to be a good soloist and get through it. So I played the cello. I was classically trained in that way. But then when I moved from New York, I went to a different school. And this was near high school. So I moved in high school. And when I got to my new school, I wanted to play cello, but they didn't have an orchestra. So they were like, well, you're going to have to play a band instrument. But by this point, my asthma got a little better, and I was pretty excited about that. Now, right during that time between cello and the band instrument situation, I actually started to play the guitar. My dad bought a guitar for me when I was about 10. And so I was playing the guitar, I was playing the cello. I self-taught myself the guitar, and I'm actually left-handed. So a lot of the stuff that I had to learn was a little different. I had to flip everything, make sure I did that way. But basically, I learned the guitar, self-taught myself, classically trained on cello, and they tell me I need to learn a band instrument if I want to be in band. So this is the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to play the clarinet. And I started to learn the clarinet. I was getting through it. There was very competitive in my wind ensemble and my concert band and everything. I played in multiple bands. I played in concert band and wind ensemble. There was also a symphonic band, but I didn't play until later. So I was playing in that. It was a very competitive chair situation. Basically, music, there's chairs. If you're first chair, you're typically the better student at that instrument, and it goes down from there. So I had started to play clarinet. I played in marching band, and I hated it. Specifically in marching band, because you weren't really heard, and there were so many of us, and it was squeaky and squealy. It just wasn't my style. So the turning point for me was when we got shirts. We all got band shirts, and we got little slogans on them. And my section said, like, clarinets are like ninjas. You see them, but like you don't hear them, but they're there. And I was like, yeah, that's cooked. I'm not playing that anymore. So I switched over and went ensemble to the bass clarinet, which is like a deeper clarinet. and it sits on the ground. It's really cool, actually. And it was way more fun to play, and I ended up being pretty good at that. And I played the trumpet in marching band, and basically self-taught myself trumpet at first, and then I started playing trumpet in symphonic band, and then in wind ensemble I played the bass clarinet. So, and then I was also in jazz band, and I played the drums, and I had initially learned the drums while I was also learning the guitar, because I had interest in writing music and I had interest in doing my own thing. So I had did all of that, and at that point it made me proficient in the cello. I was decent at the clarinet. I got good at bass clarinet. They're not too different in terms of placement of fingers and everything, but just the air and everything like that, it was a lot better for me. The trumpet I got pretty good at. I ended up being a section leader for a little bit, senior year, and I had started in junior year, so that was pretty fun. And then I also played the drums. So by this point, I was learning a lot, and I was actually in a program at school that basically did like international classes and stuff. It's called IB. And one of the IB courses they offered was music perspectives. And I was so interested in music. Like, I thought I would be like, go into Berkeley or something, which I did apply for and ended up not going. That's a whole nother story. But basically, I started learning music perspectives, which gave me music theory. And you do learn a lot of music theory in jazz band too, just because there's so many different chords used in jazz and different scales besides like your regular scales. There's like Mixolydian. Oh man, it's evading me because I don't work in jazz as much. Dorian scales, etc. There's different scales. So we learned a lot of scales. I learned a lot of chords. I learned a lot on the piano just so I could learn chord progressions and switching from a major to a minor 7, like just stuff like that. And so I started to become more proficient in that. And music perspectives also gave me like a worldly view of music, looking at international music, different chords, different ways that they make music. And so I became more versed in the music world, especially doing that and also being in multiple bands. So high school rolls around, I'm done with that, and I did apply to Berkeley, which they did accept me on a cello type sitch, but they didn't have scholarships. They only have very few scholarships, and I was like, there ain't no way. And so I ended up not going because it's very expensive. And this is the college music, not the one in California. This one's in Massachusetts. So all that goes on. I get to my college. I picked a different college, and I ended up going in thinking I was going to be a jazz drummer because I still wanted to play jazz music. I actually came in as a music major, and they were like, well, we have so many drummers already. Is there something else you can play? Now, I didn't want to do jazz guitar because my style of guitar is more pop, rock. So I wasn't too keen on jazz guitar. I could have learned it, but I was like, y'all need trumpet players? And they were like, we indeed do. We don't have many of them. I was probably one of like 2 trumpet players. So I was like, great, I will play trumpet. So I came in on my music major playing trumpet, and I did a lot of solos. I did a lot of private lessons. And my music scholarship kind of helped me pay for those private lessons and everything. And then I started to teach music. So I was teaching other instruments, mainly like bass clarinet and guitar. But then I started to teach trumpet when I got more proficient. So I did that for a while, and then I realized music major may not be for me. Just because the style and understanding of like music and being like a music major and also playing like performance art, it's just not the life I wanted to live, like, playing for pit orchestras or playing this show or playing that show, especially as a brass player. Typically that's more lucrative for like an orchestral player, like a cello or violin. And by that point, I kind of fell out of playing cello as much, so I was mainly focused on the trumpet and drums. And I just kind of it became stale to me. And I realized the reason why it became stale is because I didn't want to be a performance artist. I had all this music knowledge. I had these chords, and I was like my chord theory and all this stuff that I learned, playing drums in my pit orchestra back in high school. I played for Legally Blonde. I played jazz band. I played all this stuff. I played the trumpet in pit and all these things. And I was like, man, I don't think this is for me. Like, I find it fun, but I don't find it to be a career. And so playing like performances, like jazz solos and jazz combos and big band and everything was fun. But I realized that my calling was in electronic music. And the reason why was because for a long time, I listened to artists like San Holo, like Odessa, all these people that I really, really loved, especially in the Majestic Casual time. If y'all haven't heard of Majestic Casual, it's like a YouTube channel where all this like eclectic electronic music started to come out, K Tronada especially. And I was like, man, I want to do that. And my uncle was really big into music. He was a rapper. He was interested in like making beats and stuff. So I was like, okay, let me try this. So I wanted to do electronic music. And at first I had trouble because I had a very limited setup. I had a $200 laptop, some old headphones, and a dream, basically. And so I downloaded FL Studio Mobile to my system and I played around with it. I learned how to make lo-fi music at first. Specifically, I made a remix called Feel It Chill. It was a Portugal the Man remix that people really liked, and I made a few other songs. I made a bunch of albums and, listened to Ginseng and Nujabes. And the reason why I did that, I'm not quite sure, but I had trouble making electronic music, and lo-fi kind of helped me learn my system, learn my workstation, learn like how to make things sound good on the computer. And over the course of time, I became more confident. I was recording trumpet, I was recording drums, I was recording samples. And I started to fall more into the genre that I really liked. Because after a while, lo-fi got lucrative in a way, because at that point I had hit like 140, 150,000 listeners on Spotify, specifically for a song called When the Night Falls. And it just didn't appeal to me to just do that genre. And so I started to create the things that came out of my mind. And I realized that I wouldn't be Odessa. I wouldn't be San Holo. I wouldn't be K Tronada, because those people are themselves. They make what they want to hear. And I decided that I would do the same thing. Medicine as well. He was a big influence on me. And so I decided that I was going to make the music that I wanted to hear. And over the course of time, it got to that point. I was recording trumpet. I made a song called Glitter that I really loved. And it was really the song that I think redefined what my sound is. And so I kind of took a little of lo-fi, I took a little electronic, I took a little of what I learned from classical, I took a little of the jazz theory, and I put it all together to make the music that I make now. And that's pretty much my journey as an artist. I started to play shows when I started to get kind of big on Spotify. I started to play shows. I got a TV offer to have my music played on TV. Didn't end up going through because they cut my scene. I'm sad about that, but it's okay. I'm sure they'll come along more. But to book my own shows, I typically had to reach out to people. I reached out to so many people. I sent emails. I sent links. I made my own portfolio, basically making my own mixes at home with my music, as well as like a DJ vibe, because I basically do like a DJ producer type of show. I did DJ sometimes for money in college, but mainly DJing, producing as North Dakota, which is me. And so I started to play shows. I started to go places. I went to Virginia, I went to Houston, I went to LA. And I got really excited. I played in New York, and I realized that the more you outreach these people, the more they talk about you, the more film you have of you playing, the more people want you to play. It's kind of like interesting, like the job interview thing, where like they say you want experience, but if you don't have any, you can't get the job. But if you have like, the job and you have a bunch of experience, they don't want you to have the job because they want someone with like some experience. It's the whole thing. And like you need to get a job to have experience, but you also need experience to get a job. That's kind of what I had. Like I had to get shows and clients to be able to get more shows and clients. So it started out with me doing a couple of free shows around my area. me doing a couple small paid shows at my college, and it grew from there to where I had portfolio to really show people what I could do. And fast forward 7 years later, and this is North Dakota now, making the things that I like to hear: lo-fi house, electronic music, vibey, chill, beach music. I have this certain sound that I can follow basically all the time, and it excites me because that's kind of how I was able to pipeline into production, pipeline into electronic music, and keep going as an artist. But if you have any questions about how to be an artist or become an artist or what pipeline you're on or anything like that, let me know. And until then, hope this was helpful, and I'll see you later.